Hello and welcome to a new episode of Bengal Magazine. I'm Becky Coleman, in for Tom Kohler. On today's show, we'll first start with women's soccer, the head coach Nicholas DeMarsh, and freshman midfielder Gina Taggart. Up next, we'll have head cross-country coach Ridge Robinson and freshman Briel Biggs. And lastly, we'll talk a little men's soccer with head coach Mark Howlett and senior captain Francesco Cardillo. And we're here with head women's soccer coach Nicholas DeMarsh and freshman midfielder Gina Taggart. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So you're 6-7-2 overall this season, 3-4 in conference play, and you're heading into a really important final weekend of regular season conference play. And I've heard that there's a lot of competition for those final few spots in playoffs. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you're looking into heading into the weekend?
Sure. There are 3 open spots left for the playoffs and 4 potential teams for those 3 spots. 3 teams have qualified just on points accumulation, so it's a little bit of a must-win for us. We play New Paltz on Friday and Oneonta on Saturday. I believe New Paltz is our best opportunity to get those 3 points and secure a spot in the playoffs. But really, it's going to come down to the last day on Saturday for everybody in the conference. So it's once again proving to be a really competitive season.
Now, do you feel that you go into preparing for this kind of a weekend any different than normal, or do you keep things status quo?
Well, for the last few weeks we've been talking about getting prepared for playoffs, and this is a perfect opportunity. So the training regimen stays the same. A lot of technical early in the week, one tough work day during the week for fitness, and then a lot of tactics at the end working on set plays. But the mentality going in, particularly for our Friday game, it becomes like a playoff game for us. It's like a one-off. So it's all about putting in maximum effort and concentration on Friday, and then we'll take Saturday as it comes.
Nice. Now, Gina, freshman year, how's it going so far? Is it what you expected?
Yeah, it's kind of like what I expected, but it's a lot different. From going from my club team to this, it's a big transition. There's a lot more pressure on the players.
How do you feel you're making the transition from high school club level to the college level?
I think I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
And you got your first goal out of the way against Alfred a couple weeks ago. How did it feel to get that first goal? Was it a big moment for you?
Yeah, it felt good to do that.
Let's just say for the record, Gina was not a big goal scorer for her club in high school, so the execution on that play was good, and I think it was a happy moment.
Mm.
So far this season, what do you feel has been your biggest strength, your team's biggest strength?
I think our biggest strength has also been our weakness. Our biggest strength is our youth. We've got a ton of talented freshman players who are very ambitious and have a lot of energy, but with that youth comes inexperience. So it's been a bit of both.
And with that youth, have you felt that you had to approach the season any differently than normal?
I didn't at first, so we had to kind of retool things and go back a few steps. And I think I probably, in hindsight, should have approached it differently, but we've addressed it, and I think we've made a lot of progress in the last few weeks. Now the battle is for consistency, because we've had some very good performances and some off performances. So again, with freshmen comes the good and the bad.
Now, we talked about how important this weekend is, Gina. How are you feeling going into a big weekend like this? What are you doing mentally to prepare yourself?
I'm just working hard at practice this week, and I'm excited to play this weekend. I want to get that win.
Now, you had a pretty awesome moment a few weeks ago. You had your 100th career win, and now you've been here for 13 seasons, and you've got a great milestone. Can you talk a little bit about the changes you've seen over the past 13 years in the teams and the players?
Well, it was a great milestone. I actually forgot And then after the game, I was reminded, and that was fun. And I was really happy to get it in a conference game, and in an important conference game. My first thought was for the success of the team. But again, 100 wins is, I guess it's important in my own personal career. I've seen the program go from a very small program that was not very well known or respected to a program that other teams now have to prepare for and have to battle every game. So for me, that part is exciting, but it's only the next step in gaining that respect. From here, I want to take the team on to win the conference, and that's ultimately my goal.
Speaking of goals, closing out the season, coming towards the end and into playoffs, what are some of the goals you have for yourself and for your teammates?
I want to make it to the finals as a team really bad. So we're just going to go game by game and see what happens from there.
That about concludes this segment today. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck this weekend against New Paltz and Oneonta.
Thanks for having us.
On with us now is head cross-country coach Ridge Robinson and freshman runner Briel Biggs. Hey guys, thanks for coming.
How you doing?
So with 4 races under your belt, coach, or under your runner's belt, and SUNYAC championships coming up, how are you feeling about your team so far?
I've been pretty happy with them so far this season. I feel like a portion of the season has been learning, how my training methods work, and then for me, it's been learning how my athletes react to my training. And so, and every individual is different. It's been a learning curve, but I feel pretty confident in that I know where all my athletes are at this point in the season. I feel confident going into conference. I think we're going to do well.
So last time you were on, you talked a little bit about how you went from the assistant coach to the head coach. Can you talk about how that transition's been going now that you're coming in towards the end of your season? How do you feel about that?
I feel very good, and at Paul Short, a number of our athletes ran really well. Notably, Kevin Murray he had matched his PR from last year. Kyle Foster had ran a PR. On the women's side, Sabrina Brooks had ran a PR. I think a lot of them started to acclimate to my training. They started to see that it was working, and in seeing that, they're all starting to believe in it a little bit more than they were at the very beginning of the season. I think some people were waiting to see towards the end of the season here where we'd be to really judge how I was doing, and a lot of them have been pretty happy thus far, so I feel pretty confident with that. And I feel very confident in my role as head coach this year. One of the concerns administrative had of me is that maybe I wouldn't be able to handle everything, but I feel like things have been going pretty smoothly.
And Briel, freshman season, and you've never run cross country. So talk a little bit about how that's going, how your first season's going. Is it what you expected it to be?
I think the season's going well. I tried to go in with an open mind because I have no expectations since it's my first season actually running cross country. And so far I can say that I've seen an improvement in my running. I have more stamina now, so hopefully it'll help me in my track and fields.
So being a 400 meter distance, or not distance, a 400 meter sprinter, how does cross country, how is that what has been your biggest challenge in that?
Probably running the long mileage. I'm not used to running 6 miles, 8 miles. He'll say run an easy run and it'll be 6 miles, and I'm just it's not exactly easy, but you have to adapt to it to be better. So,
have you felt that your body's holding up to that change?
Yeah, definitely. It's gotten better since the first practice. So
lots of stretching.
Yeah.
How's that new athletic training ice tub? Have you used that?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So.
Talk a little bit about your schedule. So you guys only have 4 meets,
Sure.
And there's a lot of downtime. How do you keep the athletes focused and ready to prepare during those times?
Sure, that's been a bit of a challenge this season. In any competitive season, athletes want to race, and with me taking over, I felt it best in order for them to adapt to my training methods and switching things up. We had to cut back on a couple of meets so that we could train more, race less. That's because I wanted the races to go better. I wanted my student athletes to do better. And so, one way that I've tried to keep them focused is just by emphasizing, where we're going to be at certain points in the season, and really just trying to drive my points home and staying consistent in what I'm telling them day to day, so that, I'd say the biggest thing is that I wanted to make our season more competition oriented. So Suniacs was the goal. That's what we had in mind. Any race that we had before that, is going to be more of a practice, is what I told them. We were going to go in there and run as hard as possible, but at the end of the day, it was going to help us meet our end goal. And so, it was really just to sharpen our skills, our racing tactics, and just get ready for the Suniac competition.
Now, so far in your 4 races, what has been your favorite place to run so far?
Definitely the Lehigh meet, because it wasn't far away, but it's like my first time doing cross country meet on an actual cross country field that was marked out precisely. So I had fun running the course and seeing the corn stalks and scenery. So it was pretty cool.
Now the Lehigh meet, that's a pretty big meet. And talk a little bit about why you guys go there. Does it help you when you recruit, when you tell them that you're going to such a well-known meet?
Sure, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we try to go to a big meet or 2 a year, is so that, when I do recruit, I can be like, look, we're going and we're racing D1, D2, D3 competition. We're seeing the best of all of NCAA has to offer. And, from a recruiting standpoint, that's great, because, then kids see that, oh, we do get out, we do go places. And then for my athletes, having them get that experience, that's going to make them more mentally tough. That's going to make them more focused. It's going to motivate them, especially if they see, Division I guys running super fast. It's a motivational tool as well as a recruiting tool. So I think it helps me on both sides with my current team, and then with picking up new recruits for the following, the upcoming academic year.
Now, the week heading into a big meet like that, when they're going to see the Division I runners and all that, do you change your tactics at all, or do you keep them the same and do the same at practice?
Yeah, well, we pulled back a little bit for that meet. However, it was at a point in the season where I told them they were going to be tired. I was kind of getting them ready to be tired for that race because of the way our training's set up. And so, it's kind of like it's to build their mental toughness, and then also, in going to a big meet like that, even if they're tired, they still have to show up and put in, the hardest effort they can commit to. And so, I think going into the week of it, it's really just, for me, it was just about keeping them mentally strong, mentally focused.
And heading into your first Suniac Championships, are you nervous at all? Are you ready? How are you preparing yourself for that?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm trying to keep an open mind. It's my first cross country. I'm just going to go in, have fun, and try to do my best. I can't really ask for too much because it's my first time trying out. So.
Well, we wish you guys so much luck in your Suniac Championships and for the rest of the season. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And now we're going to tune in to Gabby for some Bengal athletics updates.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Bengal Update. I'm Gabrielle Mediak, here with the recap of news and a look at the upcoming events surrounding Buffalo State athletics. Volleyball moved to 19-9 after the Bengals defeated host Nazareth in straight sets during a non-conference match. Senior Sam Parente led the Bengals with 10 kills and 3 blocks. Hannah Ronaldo also added 9 kills and 3 blocks. The Bengals were coming off a pair of straight set wins over both Hilbert College and St. John Fisher at the Buffalo State tri-match at the Sports Arena. It marked the final regular season matches for 3 seniors, Parente, Allie Opera, and Jessica Crooks. Men's soccer is making a late season run for the conference playoffs by defeating Plattsburgh 2-1 in an overtime thriller on October 18th. The Bengals used a goal by Francesco Cardillo with just 3 seconds left in regulation to tie the game, and then a goal by Keegan Lozama with 18 seconds left in overtime for the win. A day earlier, the Bengals defeated Potsdam 2-0, with goals by Alex Castles, assisted by Cardillo and Joe Vicic. Cardillo was named the Conference Offensive Player of the Week, while goalkeeper Hunter Hind was named the Defensive Player of the Week. Hind did not allow a goal for more than 247 minutes of action. The Bengals are on the road October 24th and 25th, playing at New Paltz and Oneonta. Women's soccer coach Nick DeMarsh earned a milestone recently while giving the Bengals a win 2-1 over Oswego. That is his 100th career victory. DeMarsh is in his 12th year as the women's head coach. Kyle Foster led the Bengals cross-country team at the Oberlin Rumble, running the 8K course in 27 minutes and 8 seconds. The women were led by Kat McNamara, who ran the 6K course in 25 minutes and 56 seconds. The Bengals' next run on November 1st at the conference championships at Brockport. After a bye week, football returns to the field with an Empire 8 game against Utica. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. at Coyer Field, and it follows the women's soccer game at 10 a.m. against Oneonta.
I want to point out our Tim Hortons Buffalo State Athlete of the Week for this week is men's soccer player Francesco Cardillo. The senior business major helped the Bengals stay alive in the hunt for the SUNYAC playoffs with a pair of victories over the weekend. Cardillo had an assist and played a key role in the defensive efforts in a 2-0 win over Potsdam on Friday. Then he netted the game-tying goal with just 3 seconds left in regulation and assisted on the game winner with 18 seconds remaining in the first overtime in a 2-1 victory over Plattsburgh on Saturday. Francesco Cardillo is your Tim Hortons Buffalo State Athlete of the Week. In our final segment, I'm joined by head men's soccer coach Mark Howlett and senior captain Francesco Cardillo. First off, Francesco, congratulations, not only being the Buffalo State Athlete of the Week, but also the SUNYAC Offensive Player of the Week.
Thank you.
How does that feel to be recognized not only by your school, but also by the conference?
It's a great feeling. I've seen it a few times up on the board, and I just always wanted to be a part of that and make a difference here.
Now, Coach, you guys had a tremendous weekend. Definitely with a younger roster this year, it's been kind of a long learning curve, getting that finishing touch, getting that win. So to see it all come together this weekend, get 2 huge conference wins, especially that 2-1 overtime winner against Plattsburgh, how was that?
It's great, and I think the biggest challenge this year has been to keep these young guys to still keep believing in themselves. We always knew as a coaching staff that they had the ability to win any game that we've had this year. Consistency's lacked at times and concentrations lapsed, and that's what's hurt us up to this point. And now, you know, they've really grown into college athletes, and we're starting to see that consistency a little more. So it doesn't surprise me with the 2 wins over the weekend. I'd hoped it happened a little earlier, but at least now we're still in the playoff hunt, and this weekend means everything.
Francesco, let's go over to that game-tying goal against Plattsburgh. How did it feel to score with just 3 seconds left and send the game into overtime?
It's something that you dream of, something you always want to do, and it came down to those last 3 seconds, and I knew there's always a chance to score. It doesn't matter. When the time is done, that's when it's done, and there was 3 seconds left on the clock, and I knew that we could do something with it. We had that corner, the ball came in. It was a little bit of a scramble, and it popped out, and I got it, and I slotted it in the corner, and it was great.
How did it feel heading into overtime after scoring with 3 seconds left?
There was a little bit of pressure, and I knew that we had to come out with some type of points, and I wanted to make sure that we could get the victory. So it was a little tough, but going into there, I think we did really well.
And you definitely made your senior game one that was to remember. How does it feel knowing that you're coming to the close of your Bengal career? It's
sad. I really don't want it to end. You know, I really enjoyed my 2 years here, and it's been fun with Coach and Coach Tom and all the players that come through, and it's just, I've had a great experience, and I wish it wouldn't end, but everything has to come to an end.
And how about you, Coach? What's been your biggest challenge so far this season? Is it that young roster, or?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. It being just the second year and really our first full recruiting year. We upped the schedule quite significantly, so we knew we were going to get tested. But the difficult has been in keeping the players believing that things are still alive and that they do have the talent to win a lot of games here. And I think that this weekend, especially in the dramatic fashion that it happened, there's no better time going into the final conference weekend, still able to push for a playoff spot.
And Francesco, you're the team captain. How do you feel you best lead your team?
I think keeping them focused throughout the year. I think that was a little bit of something that went wrong, is keeping the guys on their toes and focused, and make sure during practice and games we keep the intensity up and making sure everything's good.
Do you feel a little added pressure being captain, or do you think that that it's a good thing and it helps you as a player too?
I think it's a good thing. I do feel a little bit of pressure, but that just comes with everything. And I wanted to do this for a long time, and coming into this, me and Coach spoke earlier about it, and he said he believed in me that I can do it. And with those and speaking to Coach, it really helped me.
So Francesco's going to be gone next year. Talk a little bit about how he's going to be missed.
Well, I've been lucky enough to work with Francesco over my 4 years, for his 4 years, in him playing for me at my previous institution, and he's just somebody that he'll give you everything and more. He leads by example. He just gets on with his work. When things aren't going well, he still wants to push through. And so that's going to be a huge loss on the field. The energy he exerts during a game is incredible. You always know something good can happen when he's out there, and you always know that he's going to push on even when the chips are down. So we're going to miss that. I'm hopeful that he'll stay on and join the coaching staff next year, because I think he has a lot to offer these young guys in being that connect with them and just finishing. So hopefully we won't lose him altogether.
And looking at your 2 years here at Buffalo State, what do you think is one thing that you will never forget?
Just going away with the team and the trips and having those away games. Those are the best moments and great moments you make with the team and the coaching staff and stuff like that.
Now, you guys had a few players from other countries this year. I know you did last year as well, but there's a few new faces, some from Australia. How has that been? Does that make your playing experience any different?
No, it helps it because it's just different dynamic. They come from a different country. They play a little different, so it helps the guys out a lot. So I think it's been very good for having those guys on the team.
How about you, Coach? Do you think that's had a big impact on your team?
Yeah, I really believe in having diversity within the group, not just as a playing way, but also in the locker room and just life lessons, learning about different people, different environments, different backgrounds, how they grew up and what it was like. And I think that brings a team together when you can talk about those things and when you can learn about different people and the way they may have grown up playing the game or just in general. So I always look to add that diversity to the roster.
Now, Australia. A lot of people might think, how does someone from Australia figure out about Buffalo State? How do you go about bringing in these players?
A lot of it is just down to connections. One of our Australians was actually meant to be going to the University of Buffalo through a contact. Good friends with the coach there, and he wasn't able to qualify for Division I, so it seemed a natural thing that he wanted to still come over here and could come into our program. So the biggest thing is having connections, having trusted connections that you can bring over people of good character and good quality that's going to add to the program.
And Francesco, with your last chance at SUNYAC playoffs and making a run for it, what are some of your personal and team goals for this coming weekend?
I think personal and team goals would be to make the playoffs and get points this weekend to make sure we do make it into the playoffs. I want to go out with a bang, and I want to make sure that we make the playoffs and make a run into the playoffs, and hopefully we could come out with a few victories.
How about you, Coach? Changing up practice at all, or keeping things the same?
No, it's been a little more relaxed, just because I think they're in the point of their season where fitness isn't really going to drop or increase at this point. We need to make sure that the confidence is there. They feel good about themselves going into this weekend. And I mean, the challenge is that if we get into a playoff spot, it will be the first time back-to-back for over 30 years. So it's a huge task, but it's one that this roster is capable of doing.
So we started a new thing here this year at Buffalo State called Battle by the Lake, the rivalry with Fredonia. I'd like to get both of your opinions on that. How do you feel about that?
I think it's great. I think the added rivalry is unbelievable. They're very close to us. That's always a game where we look for to get kind of bragging rights, and it's been a long time since Buffalo State's beat Fredonia, so we always look for that, and we're making steps year upon year now, and very unfortunate not to beat them this year. But it's an added spice to the game, and I think that the players enjoy that. I think the coaching staff enjoys that, and where they're our travel partner, it's just the one game that weekend, so it's enjoyable.
Last year I came in, and the boys, that was a big thing for the boys, the Battle by the Lake, and they've made it something that's very enjoyable to play. You always want to play a rivalry team in a rivalry game, and everyone comes up for that game. And so now we've just continued that with this year, making it an even bigger rivalry.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the show, and good luck this weekend. We wish you nothing but the best. That will do it for this edition of Bengal Magazine. Thank you, as always, to the extremely generous crew down here in the Instructional Resources. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode of Bengal Magazine.